We're slowly going to top this chopped fruit mixture into this batter. The whole of it goes in. It already looks like something, a delicacy that you would want to pop into your mouth with all those fruits. Looks very Christmassy, green and orange. That will do. You don't need to beat the whole thing very vigorously again. From here on, your mixer blade is not going to be functioning. So this is your maida. Maida has to be sieved with about 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder. This is how you take 1.5 teaspoon. Exactly 1.5 teaspoon. Not heaped. And please notice the size of the teaspoon. It's not a big spoon, it's a teaspoon. This is baking powder. It feels nice and powdery. Remember, powder is like your powder, talcum powder. This is baking soda. It's more crystalline, feels more like salt. Again, 1.25 teaspoon of baking soda goes in. This has to be sieved. My mom says you need to sieve the maida, baking powder, baking soda mixture at least 5 times, and I very religiously followed what she said. I've seen many cookery shows where people just mix it along just mix it with a spoon, with a ladle, and it goes in. But I'm not really comfortable with that. I make sure I sieve it at least 5-6 times, so the baking powder and baking soda gets well mixed with the flour. This is the fruit and butter mixture, green and red and black. I have the maida, baking powder and baking soda sieved 5 times. I'm going to slowly topple this over into this mixture and gently fold in. Fold in is the term given to gently mixing the maida, the flour, into the butter batter. You don't have to use the mixer again because too much of vigorous movement is not really required at this age. You just gently fold the mixture in. Just make sure you don't have any clumps of the flour left behind. Very gently fold it in. Yeah, I'm not a professional baker, I warned you right in the beginning. There was something that I missed out again, like the sugar. While you're sieving the maida and the baking powder and baking soda, remember that you have to switch on your oven and I can hear sheep bleating. It's Christmas time. I think Christmas special sheep are also bleating outside my house. Yeah, you need to preheat the oven about 200 degrees while you're sieving the maida and the baking powder, so the oven is also ready for you to pop the cake tray inside. And you need to line the cake tray. You need to just line it with a sheet of baking sheet, or it's called baking sheet or parchment paper, whatever. You need to just line it on your tray and keep it ready and preheat your oven while you go into sieve your maida with the baking powder and baking soda. Another thing that I need to remind you that you shouldn't sieve the maida and the baking powder and baking soda well ahead of time. My grandmom did not tell me anything about this, only the egg yolk, she had a trick. This has to be done just before you mix it into the butter batter, because if you leave it sieved on your table and you go on with your work, we've seen that the cake really does not rise well. I'm not professional and I really don't know why that doesn't happen, but it doesn't work that way. So you need, just before you mix the maida into the batter is when you need to put your baking powder and baking soda. Please don't do it well ahead of time. Okay, so now this batter is almost ready. The last ingredient, or the one before the last, is pinch of salt. Yeah, will do. And the final, egg white. Now this has to be very, very gently done. because you don't want to break down the peaks that you've made. Very, very, very gently. You don't want these peaks to break. It gives the fluffy feeling to your batter. Oops, okay. Alright. I think I should have taken a bigger bowl. It's my first shoot. Excuse me for all the blunders. Next time I'll do it better. Kind of ready. You don't really want to see those little whites sneaking in between, so they give the volume and the softness to the cake. It's Christmas, it's like seeing a little bit of snow here and there. So let this remain. Your batter is now ready to go into your baking tray for baking. This is your batter ready for baking, going into the tray. Just topple it all over. It's not really gooey, it's kind of in clumps because of all the dry fruits that have gone in. Just very gently spread it out with your ladle or spoon. It won't flow into the corners unless you really do it yourself, so you need to make sure the corners are all filled. You needn't even out the top surface, that will happen by itself while the cake is baking. But make sure the edges are all filled out. That's it, your batter is ready for baking, and you have to bake this cake at 150 degrees Celsius for about an hour. An hour because all these fruits have to be gently baked. You can't really bake. The other cakes, some of the cakes are baked at 200, 250, 220 degrees. But this needs low heat for a longer period because these fruits need to get incorporated and baked very gently along with this. You can tend to burn them off. So it's better to bake it at a low heat, 150 degrees for an hour. You can also check with the skewer, take it out after an hour and put a skewer or a fork inside, and if it comes off clean, yes, then your cake is baked. I just popped the cake that we were making into the oven. Let me show you a cake that I made yesterday. This is how it looks when cool. You need to make sure the cake comes out, the cake is ready. The skewer comes out clean, then your cake is ready. Allow it to rest on the kitchen table for about half an hour at least till it's cool, and then you need to slather a little bit of rum with a brush onto your cake. This is to prevent any bacterial or fungus formation, because you're not going to be using this cake today, you're going to be using it only for Christmas. This whole cake baking for me happens in the first week of December. And by about a week, I bake about a cake every day. I only get time in the afternoons when I come back from my hospital. So I finish that during the lunch time, and I bake about 6 to 7, depending on the number of friends that I have to distribute. So by second week of December, I'm free and I have time to go shopping and do all of the things while my cake is ready and just getting tastier and tastier by Christmas time. So this rum will prevent any amount of bacterial formation. So it's ready, and the older the cake is, the more tastier it is. This cake will last till February, if it lasts. I'm not sure it will last, but usually it lasts till about February if there are too many diabetics in the house. Otherwise, a normal household, it will not stay beyond January. So the rum has to be applied, and then your cake has to be covered in a foil and kept aside till Christmas Day, and then you can take it out. So that's your easy plum cake ready. Not very complicated. If I can make it, any of you can make it. So enjoy your Christmas plum cake, or like as we Bangaloreans say, enjoy Mari.